Oh, Nelly, what an hour of wrestling television this was. I'm John Retton with my review of AEW Battle of the Belts. Battle of the Belts harkens back to the Championship Wrestling from Florida days, and much like Championship Wrestling from Florida after January 21st, 1985, this show just didn't have a lot of life to it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. Actually, that's unfair because the Battle of the Belts series 1, 2, and 3, I actually retro-reviewed those. Had some good moments, but if you know anything about Championship Wrestling from Florida, well, the last couple of years were pretty goddamn dire. Now, this was a live television program on TNT on Saturday night, a big primetime slot. This was a big goddamn deal. And I didn't expect a landmark television event. I didn't even expect anything grand. I didn't even expect anything pretty good. I expected maybe a couple decent things, and for it to just be average. There was quite a bit of the show that dragged, and I gotta be, something seemed off about this show from the word go, and I don't know what it was, just something wasn't quite clicking, and then it got worse and worse, and oh boy, do I have thoughts. So, they were in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Bojangles Coliseum. Bojangles Chicken. Oh, hooray! I don't know why I'm trying to do an Animaniacs voice, but anyway, JR, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur on commentary. And, man, this crowd at least had energy to it. But the problem is, and I'm just guessing here, they probably taped a bunch of dark matches before this. Probably, you know, a way to get, like, maybe Dark Elevation and Dark. Maybe they just decided to do that. Humans had to beat them together and then put on this hour-long wrestling program. So, David Crockett and a guy named Humpy Wheeler were at ringside. I reacted to the name Humpy Wheeler with the good taste of maturity that you've all come to expect from me. And if you've come to expect that from me, I really don't know what channel you've been watching at all, and if you're a new subscriber, hi, I say a lot of dirty jokes, and a lot of offensive jokes, and I don't give a shit. But I love wrestling. So, it's Dustin Rhodes with Arn Anderson against Sammy Guevara. Interim TNT Championship match, because Cody was not medically cleared. It could either be due to the virus, or maybe he had an injury. I'm not totally sure. Whenever Cody comes back, hopefully he's going to be alright. And they can then have, you know, champion versus champion and everything. I don't mind interim championship matches, and they can serve a purpose, but this just feels like we're not... This felt off from the word go. I don't know what was going on with Dustin. At first, I think he was pacing... I thought he was just pacing himself, trying to be like, oh, Sammy is a young upstart and everything, even though he's been in wrestling for a few years. He's faster and leaner and more energetic, even though Dustin is in incredible shape for being like 51, 52 years old, whatever it is, but... He's wrestled a long time. He's, you know, battled through a lot of demons, has beaten his demons, and is physically, you know, pretty damn well off. Something seemed off with him here. He was sluggish. He wasn't moving that well. Spots that should have been crisp didn't feel very crisp. There were a lot of moves where I was like, oh boy, that was a little bit dodgy. Sammy was even more heelish here. I mean, I guess, maybe by default. And then Sammy, you know, at one point jokes about shooting Arn. Of course, they had the Hispanic American guy threatening to shoot the Caucasian American in Charlotte, news at 10. And Dustin at one point throws Sammy's knee into the steps. That was a nice spot. Then they go to the break. Pile driver on the, well, actually they did the pile driver on the floor and then to the break. And Dustin takes over for a bit. Sammy sells his knee. Dustin just, I don't know what it was, but Dustin got more and more sluggish as time went on. And Sammy dived so goddamn far that he landed all the way in Greensboro. And then Dustin hits a crossroads for 2. Code red for 2. GTH flush. He caught Dustin right in the head. That looked like brutal. And Del Sol then comes from under the ring, pulls the table out. Why did the referee not say, hey, fuckhead, what the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of here. And then Arn chases him off. Dustin, then they have this table set up. And the referee just allows this. They do a destroyer safely but slow through the goddamn table on the outside, around the outside. And Dustin, man, he was down after getting hardwood on his ass. And let me tell you right now, when you get hardwood on or in your ass, you're going to stay down. Don't ask me how I know that. Always delete your search history, by the way. And we get 2 crossroads, but oh no, some more reversals and everything. And Sammy eventually tops Dustin with the most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. A surprise roll up 1, 2, 3. Sammy wins. He's the interim TNT champion. He wins a title that he really, quite frankly, shouldn't have lost in the first place. I'm just saying, if you're going to go with somebody, especially when Sammy beat Miro in shocking fashion, go with him for a bit. Don't have Cody win and try to maybe complete this heel turn and everything, even though he's already a fucking heel. And we get to show respect. And then Danny Garcia, who is in the crowd, decides to get to where he's doing this. He's like a cat rubbing his head up on Sammy Guevara and everything. Ow. And then they take to topping and fisting each other and everything. And I usually like to see this kind of stuff. And I actually like the shaved head on Danny Garcia because I actually think that works pretty well for him. We're going to have that match on Dynamite on TBS. Still going to take a bit for me to say Dynamite on TBS and not slip into TNT. It's Dynamite. So, a pre-tape also with the Jurassic Express. They won the tag titles. Hooray. And I'm glad that Phoenix is going to be alright. I mean, there was a dislocation. How he did not break his arm on that table bump, I have no idea. Taz was on commentary for Ricky Starks versus Matt Sydal for the FTW Championship. Hobbs and the biggest goddamn pair of overalls I've seen this side of, well, Haystacks Calhoun was at ringside. And he was just sitting there, just doing whatever the fuck he was doing. And I like them both. This title's meaningless. This title fucking sucked in ECW. It served a purpose then. Because Taz was like the unrecognized world champion because he was trying to get Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas was injured. They blew it off at guilty as charged. 99. Actually, I think they had a rematch a little bit later. That was better because they built that match up like crazy, even though that match wasn't bad. But it served a purpose, I guess, then, even though it was kind of ridiculous. And now, why? Why is it there? You already have, like, the TNT Championship kind of just feels like an afterthought as it is, and the FTW Championship doesn't mean anything. That being said, the matches well worked. I like both guys. Starks is a great heel, but you can't help but cheer the guy because he's so good. I've seen him at a few indie shows. Guy's tremendous. Sydal is fucking tremendous. Still moves incredibly well for being in wrestling almost 20 goddamn years. And they did their moves and everything, and then eventually a spear out of nowhere, Rochambeau, 1, 2, 3. And then Hobbs gets in the ring. They're going to beat the shit out of him. Starks may have hurt his knee. It looked like he might, hopefully not. But then Lee Moriarty shows up. And then Dante shows up, and he decides to stare down and try to beat up Hobbs. That is like hitting a brick wall. But he eventually gets him off his feet, and Hobbs tumbles to the outside. And it's going to be Dante versus Hobbs on Dynamite. So then we get a video package on Britt and the Fluffer and Jamie. Sweet Christ, Jamie Hater. Good God. Britt Baker versus the Fluffer. I mean, Riho. Who's she's the size of a paperclip, and I can't fucking take her seriously. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a lovely person. But god damn it, this is embarrassing. Riho has no business being a challenger for the AEW Women's Championship. She shouldn't have been the champion in the first place. I would have given it to Nyla. There's no reason why Riho she's popular and everything. Okay, plenty of goddamn people were popular in WWE, WCW, and the like and everything, and various other territorial companies. And guess what? There were a lot of people that didn't become champion that should have. Or there were some that people wanted to become champion, they did, and then suddenly it was like, oh yeah, we wanted to see them chase the championship, not actually win it. And with Riho here, they telegraphed it because Britt had, never beaten Riho. Well, which told you, oh, Britt's going to win. Here's the problem. They did everything possible to basically minimize Britt. Now, yes, Britt's a heel, supposed to be. Jamie and Rebel kept interfering. Interfering so goddamn much, I don't know why the referee didn't call for a DQ about 10 minutes before the end. She went for the lockjaw, got to the ropes. The women kept interfering, and then, they got kicked out finally. And we got more awkwardness with the championship, and Jamie and Britt were arguing, and we got a Northern Lights for 2, and my god, Riho nearly beat her. And she got hit with 2 stomps, one before the Northern Lights, one after the Northern Lights, and then lockjaw on for the win. And a hug. They hugged it out. I don't often do this because I've given AEW some slack, but when they produce bad television, they produce bad television. At least it was only an hour long. Had they tried to make this 2 hours and all the championships defended, it probably would have been one of the most, it couldn't have been much worse than it was. This was agonizing, something was off. I hope everybody's alright, but this wasn't very good. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.